So we've been going through our cognitive triad of what we can do to deal with our technology better. We've talked about what we can do to think differently. Now we're going to talk about what we can do to act differently. And I think we do require some different action. We need to kind of rethink how we're allowing our kids to use their technology. And I think that's both how, the kind of practices we encourage them to use technology for, and also when, right? And so in terms of rethinking how and when, again, I keep coming back to the Surgeon General's recommendations, but I think his are some of the best here. He points out some action changes that we could all engage in as families to kind of help with this. And one of the things he notes, again, is just to remind parents that there are lots of indicators that social media has this risk. Not to all children, but the risk is big enough that we should really be making some action changes. And one of the things we should do to act differently is to create these so-called tech-free zones that encourage sort of in real life social connection. Like, there's not a rule that you have to have your phone with you all the time, especially as a family. You could come up with different ways to deal with this. So if you're the kind of family that has no boundary conditions on when your devices are there at dinner or so on, you can create spaces or times or specific locations where technology is allowed and where it is not. And one of my favorite practices, and this is something you can do with your teen, or especially your tween, is to make a kind of cool phone drop-off zone so that they help participate in like making where the phones are gonna go when no one's using them, but also participate in setting those boundary conditions. Like, should it be at the dinner table? Maybe they're like, nah, at the dinner table, you all wanna work, I wanna watch my screens, but after dinner, maybe we all get together and we don't do it, right? Have them participate in this conversation of where the zone is gonna be, what time, and so on. But set one and give yourself some boundary conditions. And you have to include yourself in those conditions too, right? Your phone also goes in the basket and doesn't come out. A big one that I recommend for all families is having a spot where your phone lives when you go to sleep. And that might mean you have to buy your kids, especially your teens, a really cool alarm clock, so that like not the phone alarm clock, but a different alarm clock. So they're like happy to use that as their alarm clock instead of their phone. But getting phones away during sleep can solve one of the foundational harms that Jonathan Haidt talks about, which is that at least their sleep's gonna be protected. At least it's not there then. So that's a big one. We need to be setting up these tech-free zones so that we can have more in real life social connection. In addition, I think that you have to do some work here where your boundaries have to be obvious. I think this is a spot where parents can be more vulnerable, that you can talk about like, hey, look, I know I struggle with my phone sometime, and here are the boundaries that I'm gonna set up to be better with it. And I think that your act of doing that can allow your kids to see that you're not being hypocritical about kind of criticizing their phone use and kind of you're not doing it yourself. And so I think that's kind of a big one, is that we need to model these healthier boundaries. In addition to acting differently, I think this is a spot where as individuals, we really benefit from finding ways to get some collective action to help us. And so I encourage all families who are thinking about these boundaries not to just think about them in your local setting, but with whatever communities you're involved in, right? Do it for your whole family for sure, but what does it look like to do it with a couple different friend groups for your whole school, for your child's sports team, right? So that your shared norms are easier. One of the big problems is that once you get a phone, you get all the addictive stuff that comes with the phone. You end up seeing the benefits of having your phone, and it's really hard to scale back. And so one of the things the Surgeon General talks about a lot is, can you delay that moment that the phone becomes part of your kid's life for as long as possible? But that becomes a lot easier if your kids aren't experiencing the FOMO of not having the phone when everybody else has the phone. So what can you do to kind of come up with shared norms for when these things should start? What does the Surgeon General say? Here's what he does with his own kids. He said, I'm planning to do with my own kids the following. I'm gonna wait until after middle school for my kids to use social media. So no social media till middle school. Only when they get to high school are we gonna renegotiate this and sort of reassess. So no social media, he often says, until about 16, but that's kind of his policy. Again, your policies might be different. You might need to pick them up, and so they need to have some sort of smart device near them. You might have et cetera, et cetera. The key is that you're thinking about this intentionally and kind of coming up with boundaries so that you can have the benefits but mitigate the harms. And that balance might look different for different folks. So I think that the more we can kind of collaborate with the other folks who are caring for our kids and the other communities they're involved in, the better, when thinking specifically about phones in schools.